Yeah.
Right? Okay. And now he's working at New
Center.
Visions. I wanted to say New Beginnings, I don't know why. New Vision Center in Alexandria, which is under Thrive Behavioral Network, right?
Correct.
Okay. So, Jim is a wealth of knowledge about different licenses you guys can get. So he's currently has his LADC, his LPC, and then we were just talking about how he's working on his LPCC and working with the Minnesota Board of Behavioral Health to get all of that paperwork done and all those details you have to do when you're getting your license. So at New Visions, we've had interns from the Rehabilitation and Addiction Counseling program intern there, as well as the chemical dependency undergrad. They've done their internships at the site where Jim is, and I believe Jim is actually supervised them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Jim is a great resource, and so is New Visions in Alexandria. So he's going to just talk a little bit more about what he does, and if you guys have any questions for him, he's a great resource. So, do you guys want me to pass around this information? Okay, let me see you guys have it.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you folks. Give you a little background information on me. I got my undergrad in 1986 at Mankato State in behavioral analysis and marketing. I worked at the state hospital system for 11 years as a behavior analyst. Worked in a locked psychiatric unit. We were 25 beds, and we were the admissions for mental illness in Minnesota. In 1996, the state was downsizing. And they essentially were getting rid of the state hospital system at that time. And I was high enough on the seniority list that I wouldn't have been affected, but I wanted to do something different. So I took a separation package, went down to Guatemala, bought a boat, and sailed around the Caribbean for 2 years. So yeah, that was a great experience. It was great to be able to do that when I was young. And when I retired here in about 5 years, that's what I'm going to do again. Because through that experience, I realized that there's a lot of crazy expats down there, right? And they need somebody crazy to counsel them. So I'm perfect for the job. And it'll obviously be because there's no insurance, right, down there. But if they can afford to live down there, they can afford to pay a therapist. So that's my plans. When I came back in '88, I went into advertising. So I went into corporate advertising for 15 years. And we specialized, the group I worked for, we specialized in hospitals and personal injury attorneys. So I did that for 15 years, and that was a great career. Loved it. But part of the environment of that career is a lot of drugs. You wouldn't think it, but there is. And my addiction has finally caught up to me. So in 2009, I got clean and worked in that for 2 years, but realized if I was going to stay clean, I couldn't continue to do that. So in 2011, I came back here and got my graduate certificate in chemical dependency. I worked in that for 2 years, loved it, and then heard about the Rehabilitation and Addiction Counseling program. Specifically, I heard about the grant. So I came back here in 2015, was a grant recipient. I was a GA for both years. Worked with Katie. Katie she was an okay GA. No, she was a great GA. So we worked together at that time. I graduated in May of 2017 and been working for New Vision Center ever since. I passed out, or Katie passed out some information on Just kind of get some background on Thrive Behavioral Network. That's the parent company of the New Vision Center. We have 27 facilities throughout the state. I work at New Vision Center. We're a dual diagnosis CD mental health treatment center. We're a 42-day program. So folks come to us from all over the state. As you see, within our chemical dependency program, we have outpatient treatment facilities in Morris, Fergus Falls, and Alexandria as well. So those are some internship opportunities as well, if those locations interest you. We also have IRTS. Does anybody know what an IRTS is? It's intensive residential treatment services. While we at New Vision Center are dual diagnosis, our primary is chemical dependency and secondary mental health. And IRTS is a 90-day program that a lot of our clients go to after they've been to primary treatment. And they're 90-day programs, and essentially they concentrate more on mental health, but they also provide chemical dependency services as well. Great programs if folks want to continue to work on their mental health and get more stable. And then it's 90 days, so in those programs, they have the opportunity to get assistance with housing, get assistance with finding a job. And we work very closely with state VR in those programs. We do a lot of work with Yolanda in Alexandria. She's the state VR office there. We also have adult foster care homes, which are homes for folks that have chronic persistent mental illness that really they struggle to live independently, but you know, essentially in most homes there's probably 4 folks and then you know, staff to give them some assistance. So we have those located throughout the state as well. What are you guys looking for in an internship?
I mean, for me personally, especially with what you just said, like what resonates with me more is the aftercare component. So, IRTS, is that kind of like a halfway house, it sounds?
Well, kind of. I mean, yeah.
It's an intensive.
Right, correct.
Right.
I mean, halfway houses most of them are also 90-day programs,
Yes.
but there's, you know, I mean, essentially in our field or in chemical dependency, there's minimum, medium, and high intensity, right? High intensity facility like New Vision Center, we offer 30 hours of programming a week, right? Medium is 15, and then low intensity is 5, right? So there are some halfway houses that are medium, but most of them are low. So 5 hours of programming a week or 5 hours a group is pretty minimum.
Yeah, I agree.
And in IRTS, there's probably about 20, 25 hours a week of programming, but you can come and go as you please. You can work while you're in IRTS.
Well, and that's kind of what I like, the transition period, because and personal experiences too, so many times when you get out of a 30-day inpatient program, it's kind of like, okay, like we told you what to do,
Right.
Now you can go out
Here
and
you
do
go.
it, and you feel so like the world is on your shoulders. And when I got sober and it stuck, it was because I did continuing care, and I went to a residential facility for some time after, and that's where, like I said, the transition period, I think, is really where you need to strike and help them get those, like, let's find you a job, let's get you life skills, because let's face it, it's the burdens of everyday life and the slap in the face from reality that gets you back using, and a lot of that is, I can't find a job, I'm a felon, I am having these mental health issues and I don't know how to deal with them. So I like that a little more than the let's start, you know, from scratch 30-day inpatient environment.
Right, and you know, I mean, and we work with a lot of halfway houses throughout the state. You know, in town here, we do a lot of work, have a good relationship with Focus 12 as well as East Haven.
Okay, yep.
And that's just in the St. Cloud area, but we work with halfway houses throughout the state. And you're exactly right, it's the wraparound services that keep us sober, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's addressing the mental health. You know, I mean, we do a good job addressing mental health over 42 days, and really, you don't scratch the surface in 42 days.
Yeah.
And generally, I'd say 70% of our clients have a history of trauma. And in chemical dependency, we can triage trauma, but we don't want to dig into it because early in recovery, you start dealing with trauma, it's going to bring up a whole flood of emotions and memories, and people relapse. I mean, there's been studies done on it that don't deal with trauma in early recovery, right? But to stay sober, folks with trauma need to eventually address it. And it's a long-term process, right? So we work really hard on setting people up with trauma specialists within the community, and work really hard that they work with those folks for on the long term. You know, and I'm not talking 20 years, but I'm talking definitely a year or two. Right? What else are you guys looking for in an internship? What questions do you have?
I do have a question.
Sure.
Why is it 42 days, not 45?
You know, that's a great question, but it has to do with insurance funding. And it's, you know, 6 weeks.
Gotcha.
So, and we struggle a lot of times with getting that 6 weeks from insurance companies, justified, right? But since we do have psychotherapists on staff, we generally get what we ask for.
Heidi, can you repeat your question? I didn't really catch what was.
I was wondering why 42 days as opposed to
Oh.
45.
Got it.
It just
Okay.
seemed like an odd.
Yeah, an awkward number. Okay, got it.
Well, I mean, we do offer paid internships, so that's a bonus. We treat our interns more like employees because essentially you are working there, right? We've had interns from your program. We had 2 last year. I don't know if you've met Carrie or Taylor. You guys are first year students or? Okay. Yeah, they graduated in May. And they're both working for us right now. So they did our paid internships with us and they both accepted positions within our company. We hire a lot of our talent through internships. Right now we have a undergraduate intern from the LADC program here on campus.
And Carrie, well, I shouldn't have said her name, but there is a grant scholar that works there as well. So she's doing her payback, like it's qualifying employment. So just so you guys know that too.
Yeah, and I'm a grant scholar as well.
Yes.
And it does qualify for payback under the grant. So both, you know, and it qualifies for practicum and internship, but I mean, as folks I'm sure already know, you have to apply to the state first, right, and get rejected. Or, you know, just essentially that they say we don't have any positions for you, right? And I did that as well. I actually did my practicum and internship with the collegiate recovery community here on campus. And that worked out really well for me. So I know you guys have had,
Do people do their practicum and internship at the same place? Is that what you're supposed to do?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
You can, you don't have to.
You don't have to, you
Okay.
can.
Yeah, you know, and I, you know, I mean, Dr. Knopf and Katie in the program, you know, have the governance over that. But I mean, both Taylor and Carrie did both their practicum and internship, the full 880 hours with us. And as you guys know, I mean, if you're going for your LADC rather than 700 hours, it's 880, right? What do you have questions about licensing? Yes.
I just have a question. So I feel like you said this already, but do they supervise you there for your hours and stuff?
Yes.
Okay, so they do keep
Yes, I'm a LADC supervisor, as well as a CRC. So, you guys, need a master's with a CRC. But I mean, if you're going for dual licensure, you also need an LADC. So, yes, we do. What do you guys got for questions about licensure? I mean, it's a complicated process. Who's going for their LPCC?
Want to, yeah.
Right now.
Okay, have you looked on the Board of Behavioral Health and Therapy site? Good, because you'd just be confused. It's a terrible site, and it doesn't really give you direction on how to do it. I got my LPC in July 2 years ago. Okay, so after you get your LPC, it's 4,000 hours, right, of clinical service, and I got that back in July, as well as 200 hours of supervision, right, by a board-approved supervisor. And then you test. You have to take another test, right? And then you apply for your licensure. And I applied 5 weeks ago, and I'm waiting for the board to get back to me. But supervision and how you go about it is kind of a complicated thing. Have you guys looked into it at all? Okay.
I mean, Dr. Knopf went over it a little bit in one of her classes, but there was just so much information that it's like, it's a lot to swallow.
It is a lot to swallow. What you guys need to know at this point is you guys are all going to take the CRC exam, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, that's your initial exam to get your LPC, right? It qualifies for both, so you don't have to take 2 separate tests. CRC doesn't qualify for LADC, so you need to take that test. Then when you're somewhere within your 4,000 hours, you want to take the National Mental Health, I don't know, it's about eight, it's an acronym, but it's about 8 letters, right? So another exam that you'll take. And if you guys, what you're gonna find out, every exam you take is $400, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what exam it is, it's $400, right? Generally, every license is $400. Now, I don't know where they get this figure, but that's the way it works out. So I carry 3 licenses, so to renew everyone, it's $400, right? I'm fortunate that our company pays those fees.
How often do they have to be renewed if you work for somebody that doesn't?
Okay, CRC is 5 years,
Okay.
which is great, right? LADC is every 2 years. LPC is every year until you get your LPCC. Once you get your LPCC, it's every 2 years.
No, it's still 1 year.
Excuse me?
It's still 1 year.
For LPCC?
Yeah.
Really?
I've been renewing it every year. I've been renewing it every year.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah. It's like, no, but we pay 200 for that. It depends if you're doing private practice or, yeah. I've
Okay.
been renewing it for the last 3 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I was hoping it was every 2 years.
Yeah, like.
But okay,
LCC.
yeah, okay, so the LPC every year is $225, so then every 2 years is $450.
If you don't need that, I guess if you don't renew it, you have to do the test. Again, yeah.
Okay, so give me the acronym for the,
LPCC,
yeah,
yeah.
what
The acronym licensed professional clinical counselor.
no, for the test, it's the National Mental Health
Yeah, national something.
Certification
I remember
Exam.
it so well when I was taking it.
Yeah. Yeah.
National
MHA, it's,
CC.
yeah, I mean, it's about 5, but I mean, it's, and what
There
you
are a
think.
lot of C's in there. It's an N, it's a B.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's all I know.
Yeah, well, you'll see a long spew of letters and you'll know that's the correct exam. Yeah.
So is the renewal of your license, like, do you take a test again, or like what's the?
No, but there's continuing ed.
Okay, yep.
For LADC, it's 40 hours, every 2 years. For CRC, I'm not sure how many hours it is for every 5. But it's not, I think it's like 80 every 5. It's not
Okay.
unbelievable amount. A thing that really helped me out on renewing LADC or getting continuing education credits is if you teach a class, that's so many credits. If you take a class after you got licensed, that's so many credits. So things like that really help out. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, the exam is the NCM HCE, National
go.
Clinical Mental Health Counselor Examination.
There you go. So it's a mouthful.
No, it's different from that.
It's
No,
different?
Yeah, it has like, it's like NC, that one's a different exam.
NCM
Type exam for
HCE.
LPCC. Is that what comes up?
Huh? Yeah, it just, yeah,
Is
I,
it?
I Googled National Mental Health Exam, and it was
Google
NCM.
LPCC exam.
LPCC.
Yeah, and you're right. There's a bunch of different ones, so be sure you're taking the correct one.
It still says NCE/NCMHCE.
Yeah, it's the-
NCMHC?
Yeah, it's the NCM HCE is the correct.
Yeah.
National Clinical Mental Health.
A lot of letters.
Yeah, and it's a lot of different organizations. You know, there's testing organization and then there's licensing organization, and they're different. For LADC, it's the National Certification Board for the exam. For the LADC license, it's the Board of Behavioral Health and Therapy for both LADC, LPC, and LPCC. So, that's
Do you personally work in inpatient or outpatient care?
inpatient.
Okay.
Yeah, we're a 27-bed inpatient. We have up to 18 guys and up to 9 ladies.
Oh, so it's co-ed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's co-ed. And they have groups together, they eat together. We have 2 different sleeping floors. Obviously, they don't sleep together.
Yep.
Right. But that puts another interesting turn into treatment, right?
100%.
Okay.
Do you favor the co-ed rather than separating the genders?
I favor the co-ed because I've worked in both.
Yeah.
When I worked in mental health in the state system, we were co-ed as well.
Mhm.
Yes,
Do you get a lot of veterans that come in there?
we do. We do. Both, go ahead.
Does the VA cover their insurance, or do they have private insurance?
It depends. A lot of times clients are with us under what's called consolidated funding, right? And it's funding provided by the national government that goes to counties, and counties ultimately dole it out for treatment. A lot of people are on medical assistance, and that'll pay for it. And everybody who's on medical assistance, there's generally a plan through the county. It might be Blue Plus, it might be Medica, you know, so it gets very complicated. Fortunately, we have a very competent woman who does all the insurance stuff, so I don't have to deal with it. I've worked at treatment centers before where I have, and it's very complicated. But yeah, sometimes the VA does, and it picks it up. I think it was 2 years ago, there was an act passed that if you can't receive services at a VA, that they'll pay for services in the private sector. So, good question.
So my focus is in equine therapy and using horses to work with people
Mhm.
dealing with chemical dependency and mental health issues. Do you guys ever use any kind of animal-related therapy at your facility?
We don't, but I shouldn't say that. In inpatient CD treatment, we don't. In our IRFs, sometimes they do go to riding stables and stuff
Oh, okay.
like that as activities.
And that's your
Um,
high-intensity, like, inpatient one?
Well, yeah, that's our intensive residential treatment services, right. Yes.
So I feel like you might have said this, but what does like the mental health side of treatment look like?
That's a great question. The mental health side of treatment is everybody, when they come into a CE program, gets a comprehensive chemical use assessment, right? Basically a psychosocial history. And within that assessment, there's an evaluation called Case 6, which is it's a measurement of mental health needs essentially. And if people score high enough on the Case 6, then they by statute, we need to perform a diagnostic assessment or a mental health diagnostic assessment. So that's essentially what starts. Even if you don't trigger for a diagnostic assessment, you receive services. With the 27 clients, I work with one other psychotherapist. And we try to see all our clients every week. Is that always possible? No. So we provide, the best services that we can. Really by statute, all we're required to do is provide the diagnostic assessment for folks that trigger, but we do much more than that. Essentially, we're available to clients at all times. You don't need an appointment to see us if you're in crisis. We see you. Great question. Were you guys looking to enter?
I'm looking at Minnesota LT Challenge in Brader.
Okay, excellent. Great facility.
Yeah.
VA, excellent.
The prison.
Excellent. Do we have interns right now at VA or prison?
I think at the prison. I have to think about it. I
Isn't
think
Josie-
there's one at the
isn't
prison.
Josie at the-
What?
Isn't Josie at the prison?
Josie, actually Josie was at the prison, and then they hired her.
Oh,
So actually she is still there, but she's not an intern.
Oh.
But yes, she is there, so that'd be a good resource. And then the VA, a student from my cohort works there, so I could connect you guys. I don't know if we have an intern there though, but we definitely have connections at both places. So, and
Yeah.
I think they both intern there too.
Who's there right now?
Sandy Smith's
Yeah, I think Sandy did intern there. So yeah, VA is a great option as well. As I said, we have facilities in Alexandria, Morris, and Fergus Falls. So any of those areas interest you, please give us a call. We generally, at inpatient, have 2 interns every semester. We generally have interning at one of our outpatient facilities. We haven't had interns at our IRFs, but that's something that we're certainly taking a look at. We just started paying our interns about 2 years ago. And if you guys are familiar with the marketplace right now, there's a huge shortage in LADCs, LPCs, LPCCs, as well as CRCs. So, interns certainly don't have to stay and work for our company, but a lot of them like what they experience and they do stay. Matter of fact, I've been with the company 2.5 years, and I think we hired all our interns. Yes.
So, if we decide like, oh, this sounds great for me, I want to intern with you guys, how far in advance would you suggest that we start reaching out and trying
I would
to?
start at least a semester in advance.
Yep.
And give us a call. Our director's name is Doug Paulson, but the general number that is on that business card or on the pamphlet will get you
Okay.
Jim. But just ask for the director, or you can ask for me, and I'll certainly. What we do is we interview, just like any job application process. We like you, you like us, and it's a good fit. it'll work out.
This is a question I had when I was looking for internships, but, is it pretty easy to, like, if a student gives you a class schedule, like when their classes are, or their online classes, and then do you guys just work your internship hours around their academic schedule? Or
We
how
do,
Okay.
but we do expect our interns to work 40 hours a week,
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
But we're flexible on that.
okay.
And, you know, I mean, pay is not great, but essentially you could pay what a tech does at our facility. But as I said, you're treated as an employee, which means you get all the benefits of being an employee as well. Right now, I believe tech starting pay is right around $13 an hour. Any other questions? Perfect. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.